What if I told you the ancient Chinese knew something about balance that modern psychology is only just discovering? What if every setback in your life, every broken relationship, every missed opportunity, every moment of regret came down to one principle you've been overlooking? 2,500 years ago, a Chinese philosopher's grandson penned a text so powerful that for centuries you couldn't serve in the imperial government without mastering it. The doctrine of the mean. Not a compromise, not weakness, not playing it safe, but the most sophisticated system of optimal living ever created. Confucius called it the highest virtue. His students said it was harder to master than ruling an empire. And here's what they found. Most people fall short in life not because they don't try hard enough, but because they're operating at the wrong intensity. Too much becomes your downfall. Too little keeps you unnoticed. But tonight, you're going to learn the 12 precise principles that allowed ancient sages and modern masters to hit the optimal point in every situation. The place where power meets wisdom, where action meets stillness, where your life finally clicks into place. Let's begin. Have you ever noticed how the most successful people seem to never get flustered? Market crashes, personal betrayals, sudden changes, they remain centered while everyone else loses their footing. Here's what most people miss. They think these people are just naturally calm. Wrong. They've mastered what the ancient text calls zhongyong, the unswerving pivot. Imagine a compass needle. No matter how you shake the compass, the needle finds true north. That's not weakness, that's power. The superior person, according to the doctrine, cultivates a center point that doesn't move with circumstances. But here's the secret most people miss. This isn't about suppressing emotions or becoming robotic. It's about finding your optimal emotional position for each situation. Not too reactive, not too detached. Your practice, tonight. Identify one situation that typically throws you off center. Before you enter it tomorrow, set your internal compass. I will respond at the exact right intensity, neither exploding nor shutting down. That internal adjustment, that's the pivot activating. Why do some people's lives feel like a constant emergency, while others navigate similar challenges with grace? The text reveals something radical. Before your emotions arise, you exist in a state of perfect equilibrium. This isn't mystical, it's mechanical. When feelings arise and are moderated at the mean, you enter a state of harmony. Think about it. Every overreaction in your life came from emotions that exceeded their optimal level. Every missed opportunity came from emotions that fell short. The ancient masters discovered that you have a split-second window when emotion first arises, before it amplifies or suppresses itself. In that window, you can calibrate. The secret. Your emotions aren't the problem. Their intensity is. Anger at injustice? Essential. But rage destroys. Timidity enables. Love for your partner? Vital. But obsession suffocates. Indifference kills. Your practice tonight. Tomorrow, when emotion first rises, pause. Ask yourself, is this the optimal intensity for the situation? Then adjust up or down accordingly. Watch what happens when you start conducting your emotional life like a skilled musician tunes an instrument. Here's where most people completely misunderstand the mean. They think it's about finding the mathematical middle between two extremes. Completely wrong. The mean is about staying at the optimal position in the course of action, understanding timeliness and quality rather than quantity. Sometimes the optimal response is bold action. Sometimes it's patient withdrawal. The superior person reads the situation like a grandmaster reads a chessboard and calibrates perfectly. Emperor Shun, whom Confucius praised as the wisest ruler, had this ability. He would ask questions constantly, examining even the seemingly trivial words of ordinary people, looking for the hidden wisdom. Why? Because the optimal choice is situation-specific. Your practice. Tonight, stop looking for one-size-fits-all solutions. Start asking, what does this specific moment require? The shy person needs to speak up. The loud person needs to listen. The aggressive person needs restraint. The passive person needs courage. The wisdom isn't in choosing a permanent stance, it's in reading the room with uncanny accuracy. What if there was one rule that could transform every relationship in your life? The text reveals it in chapter 13. What you do not like when done to yourself, do not do to others. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But the ancient masters took it deeper. This isn't just ethics. It's a technology for optimal social positioning. When you violate reciprocity, you create resistance in your relationships. People push back, trust erodes, opportunities vanish. When you honor it, you create frictionless pathways. Doors open, alliances form, resources flow toward you. But here's the advanced practice. The text gives you 4 applications. How you want your son to serve you reveals how you should serve your father. How you want your minister to serve you reveals how you should serve your prince. The pattern. Every relationship has an optimal service point. Find it by reversing the positions. Your practice. Tonight, identify one strained relationship. Ask yourself, if our positions were reversed, what would I want them to do differently? Then do exactly that. Watch the relationship transform within days. When asked about strength, Confucius gave a shocking answer. The strength of the North, dying in battle without regret, that's what the forceful cultivate. But the noble person? They cultivate the strength of the South. To be broad-minded and gentle in teaching and not rashly punish wrongdoing. This is the strength of the South. Read that again. True strength isn't about dominating. It's about having the power to crush someone and choosing not to. Most people confuse aggression with strength. They mistake loudness for leadership, force for influence. The superior person stands in the center, leaning neither to excess nor deficiency in their power. The secret application. In your next conflict, you have 3 options. Overreact with aggression, underreact with weakness, or respond with southern strength. Southern strength looks like this. Acknowledge the wrong. Maintain your standards, but teach rather than destroy. Your practice. Tonight, identify someone who has wronged you. Instead of revenge, which is excess, or acceptance, which is deficiency, find the optimal response. Clear boundaries delivered with broad-minded gentleness. That's when people actually change. That's when you actually win. Here's what separates those who maintain the mean from those who merely pretend. What happens when no one is watching? There is nothing more visible than what is secret, and nothing more manifest than what is minute. Therefore, the superior person is watchful over himself when he's alone. Most people can perform virtue in public. The mean demands you become virtue in private. Why? Because your private calibration sets your public capacity. If you're excessive in private, overindulging, overstimulating, overworking, you cannot find the optimal point in public. You've lost your instrument. The ancient text reveals your character in solitude is the foundation of your ability to hit the mean in the world. Your practice tonight. Choose one behavior you do in private that pulls you towards excess or deficiency. Tomorrow, in that private moment, calibrate to the optimal point. Maybe it's screen time, eating, work or self-criticism. Find the amount that's neither too much nor too little, and maintain it when nobody's watching. This is how emperors are made. Confucius made a devastating observation about human nature. Everybody says, "I know," but in intending the actualization of the mean, they are not able to stay with it for a full month. 1 month. That's, how long most people can maintain optimal positioning before sliding back into excess or deficiency. But here's what the text reveals about the rare person who masters it. Yen Hui, Confucius's greatest student, grasped the mean in such a way that, attaining to a certain goodness, he would clasp it firmly and never lose it. The difference? Persistence, not motivation, not inspiration, not willpower bursts, but really the daily, hourly, minute-by-minute practice of returning to the optimal point. Your practice. Tonight. Stop thinking you'll master the mean and stay there forever. Instead, commit to returning to it constantly. Set 3 alarm reminders tomorrow. Am I at the optimal point right now? Too much or too little? Adjust. The masters didn't find the mean and settle. They found it, lost it, found it again, 10,000 times until it became automatic. Why do some people navigate crises with ease while others, crumble? The text gives you the answer in 1 sentence. In all things, success depends on previous preparation, and without such previous preparation there is sure to be failure. But here's the deeper teaching. Preparation isn't just about planning, it's about pre-calibrating to the optimal emotional and mental state. If your speech is previously determined, there will be no stumbling. If your principles are previously determined, there will be no sorrow. The secret. Most people wait until they're in the situation to find the mean. Too late. The emotions are already too intense or too weak. The superior person enters situations already calibrated. Your practice. Tonight. Look at tomorrow's calendar. For each event, predetermine your optimal state. In this meeting, I need to be assertive but not aggressive. With this person, I need to be warm but not clingy. In this negotiation, I need to be firm but not rigid. Set your internal dial before you walk in. Watch how differently things unfold. If you understand these 3, you know how to polish your character. Knowing how to polish your character, you know how to handle others. Knowing how to handle others, you know how to govern a state or clan. Notice the sequence: self, then others, then world. Most people try to change their circumstances without changing their calibration. They want better relationships without better character. They want influence without polish. The text reveals the 3 foundations. Loving study approaches wisdom. Loving practice approaches human-heartedness. Understanding shame approaches courage. But here's what polish actually means in practice. Removing the excesses and filling the deficiencies until you reflect the optimal in every dimension. Your practice. Tonight, identify your dominant tendency. Do you typically operate in excess or deficiency? Excess. Too much talking, spending, working, helping, controlling, analyzing. Deficiency. Too little action, risk, expression, engagement, self-care, boundaries. Then identify 1 way to polish towards the center. Reduce 1 excess by 20%. Increase 1 deficiency by 20%. That's polishing. That's transformation. For those who want to lead, whether in business, family, or community, the text reveals 9 patterns of optimal treatment. But, the first pattern actually contains all the others. Polish your own character. Polishing your character, you set up your own way. Why does this matter for modern life? Well, because everyone is leading something. Your household, your team, your own life. And the text makes this radical claim. Your leadership effectiveness is directly proportional to your character calibration. When you're operating at excess or deficiency, people don't follow you, even when they should. When you're operating at the mean, people are drawn to you, even when they don't understand why. Your practice. Tonight, stop trying to convince people with words. Start embodying the optimal in your character. Want your team more focused? Be precisely focused, not hyperactive, not scattered. Want your kids more respectful? Be precisely respectful. Not a doormat, not a tyrant. Want your partner more affectionate? Be precisely affectionate, not needy, not distant. Calibrate yourself first. Leadership happens automatically. Here's the most revolutionary teaching in the entire text. The path to the mean doesn't require special circumstances, exotic practices, or extraordinary events. The way of the superior man may be found, in its simple elements, in the intercourse of common men and women, but in its utmost reaches it shines brightly through heaven and earth. Translation. You practice the mean in the mundane. Having coffee, sending emails, talking to your neighbour, choosing what to eat. Every ordinary moment is a calibration opportunity. Too much coffee creates jittery excess. Too little creates foggy deficiency. Too many emails create scattered attention. Too few creates missed opportunities. Too much small talk creates wasted time. Too little creates isolation. The superior person turns every ordinary action into practice. Your practice. Tonight, tomorrow, pick 3 ordinary activities. Before each one, pause and ask, what's the optimal amount or intensity of this activity? Then do exactly that amount. No more, no less. Watch how this transforms your entire day. The final technique contains the ultimate test. You might be able to put in order the whole country, kingdoms and clans, decline rank and merit pay, and tread on bare swords, yet still be incapable of actualizing the mean. Translation. You can perform miracles and still miss the point. The mean isn't about achievement. It's about optimal positioning in every moment, regardless of external circumstances. When good principles prevail in government, the superior person doesn't change from what they were in retirement. When bad principles prevail, they still don't change, except to the exact degree that preservation requires. The secret. Your centre must be unbreakable, not rigid, but optimally responsive to what each situation genuinely requires. When everyone celebrates you, you don't inflate. When everyone criticizes you, you don't deflate. You remain at the optimal point. Your practice tonight. Identify your next major challenge, the situation that will test your calibration most. Pre-commit. Regardless of how this unfolds, I will find and maintain the optimal response. Not too much reaction, not too little. Precisely what this situation truly requires. That commitment, renewed daily, is the path. 25 centuries ago, Zisi wrote these principles knowing most people would read them and miss the point. Because the mean isn't intellectual knowledge, it's embodied practice. You now have 12 principles that the ancient Chinese emperors needed to master before they could serve. But here's the truth the text keeps emphasizing. People say they know, but they cannot stay with the mean for even a month. Don't be those people. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for the optimal point, again and again and again. Too forceful in that conversation? Adjust towards gentleness. Too passive in that negotiation? Adjust towards firmness. Too involved in that relationship? Adjust towards space. Too distant from that opportunity? Adjust towards engagement. The path isn't about getting it right once. It's about calibrating constantly. Start tonight with one principle. Tomorrow, add another. In a month, you'll be operating at a level most people never discover. In a year, people will ask you how you stay so balanced, so effective, so unshakable. And you'll know it's not magic. It's the mean, the optimal point, the unswerving pivot, the ancient technology that's been waiting for you to discover it. Now go calibrate your life.